Well, one of the things that Democrats did do during the shutdown is put healthcare front and center. And of course, you both know the ACA subsidies are expiring at the end of the year. A bunch of Americans are going to see their premiums go up. And it doesn't look like at this point, unless some miracle happens, that anything's going to change by the end of the year. Now we're looking at January for sort of the next time when the extending the subsidies conversation comes up again. Where do you see Congress on this issue at this point? What do you think is the most likely outcome here?
Yeah, so first, just to piggyback off of what he said earlier with regards to SNAP, that was one of the great things about the package we put together, is that we were able to unlock the SNAP funding for the remainder of the year, WIC funding for the remainder of the year, veterans funding for the remainder of the year, Capitol Police for the remainder of the year. So moving into January 30th, those things are taken care of, and now we're working on kind of focusing on appropriations bills to get more of that done. When it comes to the ACA conversation, the Obamacare conversation, John and I were actually in a group the other day, a bipartisan group, talking about what is a pathway forward.
Bipartisan conversation on healthcare, that is a big headline for Americans right now. No, truly. It just seemed like on this issue, it's just been so hard to find common ground.
Yeah, so I was encouraged by the dialogue, because to your point, there has not been that before. Obviously, Republicans and Democrats are coming at the issue from a different perspective, but both wanting to achieve the same thing and trying to find a solution, or at least the people in this room were. So I was encouraged by that dialogue. Obviously, I hope that continues. We'll see something move over from the House, and would be hopeful that we are able to coalesce around something. John may have a little bit of a different perspective.
The base demands no common ground, no common ground. It's really becomes more and more extreme kinds of absolutes. And now, so like I have a responsibility as someone that represents Pennsylvania, that it's like, just like this table, red, blue, it's just like, that's literally Pennsylvania.
You got the symbolism, the ceasefire set.
And it's a lot easier, like if I'm in like a deep blue state, for example, and then of course now. So that's part of like an honest conversation where we're at right now. And, conversations about healthcare, there's a lot of embedded truths on it. And, I want to have a vote that has a chance to pass, rather than just making some kinds of statement.
So the 3-year, you had mentioned in an interview recently that the 3-year straight extension you don't think is realistic. What do you think Democrats need to consider as they push forward different plans?
Well, for me, I'm calling that just like a 1-year clean extension. It doesn't require any more than the minimum of the Republicans to vote for that, the ones that are the more moderate ones, the ones that are concerned about those things. And now that doesn't mean that they love, Obamacare. And it means for us that we have one more guaranteed year for our constituents. And then we have a long time to negotiate, like a more durable solution.
Is that something you'd consider, Senator, a 1-year clean extension?
So when you're looking at where we are, and this is where we just have a different perspective about it, you kind of look back to Obamacare being instituted in 2010, and then look at, needing subsidies in 2014, and then 2020. 2021, and kind of where we are now. So it's, from my perspective, it's clear that the system has failed with regards to affordability, because we continue to have to subsidize it to, quote, make it affordable. So I think you kind of have two conversations here. You have the immediate conversation of what happens with the enhanced COVID premium subsidies, and then you have a larger conversation that has to be had about how do we make sure that we can deliver affordable health care.
Well, it sounds like that's what John is talking about, though, right? You're talking about doing a 1 year while you figure out what else can be done.
It's like, I'd like to remind, it's like this was our bill, Obamacare. Not a single Republican voted for that, right?
That's right.
Not one.
That's right.
And now these extensions was through COVID, and that was designed designed to expire at the end of this year. That wasn't like a Republican thing. It was like that was the way it was designed. And now here it is. And now it doesn't require people to agree that it's all awesome, but what we can agree that there is not much time to do this, and negotiate it. I think some changes are appropriate, but for me, you don't have time, and here it is. Let's just
So I think we would have to have a, there would definitely have to be a cap on, right now
Income?
you can have a millionaire that's using it, like an income cap, some type of buy-in. There would have to be reforms to it
Would
to
you
even
consider an income cap?
even create a transition period.
I'm saying it's like I always try to run it through like a jury of a group of folks, in a Walmart parking lot in Scranton. It's like, how can I explain what it's like? It's like, hey, look, I just want to buy you one more year here now, and then we could figure out a more durable thing forward, because we all know what it is. We don't have to love it, but we know what it is, and it's just a simple vote rather than trying to figure out, because
And I would say if you want to get Republican buy-in, I think it's also an easy thing to say and to constituents that, like, we're not going to give this to millionaires. We're going to put an income cap on it. I think the majority of America would say yes. And then we're going to say the way we're going to eliminate fraud is just a $5, and I think people can get that too. So John's right with regards to creating a simpler framework of reforms if we want to find a pathway forward that you can easily explain. But you're definitely going to have reforms if you're going to get any Republican buy-in, because doing more of the same, even in a transition period, we're not going to do that.
we just needed 8 Dems to reopen the government. We didn't have to have buy-in over all 47, and that's the point. It's like where it's the minimum kind of a trigger point, and now.
And he's always good at calling this stuff, right? So when we talk about these different things, he can like get laser focused on an issue in a way, like he said, there's going to be 8, there's going to be this. He's pretty good at calling it.
Let me